The Mk8 GTI debuted last year for the 2022 model year, and as a Mk7.5 owner, this one was a big one for me. I did get a chance to take one for a quick test drive last year, a 2022 model year, but this one I've had for about a week, so I'll get more impressions for this one, tell you if my opinions have changed, and of course, VW wouldn't let a year go by without making some decent changes to their car, so I'll tell you what's new for 2023 as well. Let's go ahead and take a look. Of course, the best part about a hot hatch is the fact that it is so versatile. You can push it when you want to, but you can also daily drive it. And when it comes to the daily drive, the GTI is the best of its segment. Even when you're comparing things that aren't hot hatches, you put this against the Civic SI, the WRX, or the Elantra N, which really are the primary competitors right now, even though they are not hatches. This is the easiest to daily drive. It has the best driver assist features, and it rides the best, and it rides better than my Mk7 does. I said that last year as well, and the one I had last year, that SE, didn't even have the dynamic chassis control. That's the adjustable suspension, like my Mk7 does, and that one still rode better. And this one here, this being the 40th anniversary, does get you that dynamic chassis control, and so this one definitely does ride better than mine. That's a huge point for this one, because the only other way to get that adjustable suspension is to get up into the Autobot trim, and now you're at 40 grand. So save yourself 7 grand, get this one, and you still get that. Now, the place you're going to notice that the most is going to be on rough roads. On most well-maintained roads, it's not going to make a huge difference going in between comfort and sport, but you will notice a huge difference when you get onto rough roads. Now, outside of this riding better than the Mk7 and really all of the competitors in this space, it also is more composed in the corners. So if you want to throw this through corners, it doesn't roll very much at all. It handles really nicely, as the GTI always has. It's got the VAQ limited slip differential. That's the electronic limited slip differential, and that is standard across the board. Doesn't matter if you're in the base S trim or if you're all the way up in the Autobahn, you can get that anyway. It also has the XDS Plus system, so that is like a brake-based system that's supposed to sort of simulate a limited slip differential, and you get that as well, actually, in addition to the VAQ electronic limited slip differential. And you can adjust those through the settings here. Since we do have that custom mode, since this does have that DCC, you can adjust all kinds of stuff. You can adjust the steering as well. The suspension I mentioned, you can adjust the steering, you can adjust the engine sound. I like to leave the engine sound on eco because it is that like pumped in sound. Not really my favorite thing, but it does give you the sort of sound when the boost kicks in, and so I'm kind of into that. It sounds nicer than it does in the Mk7, but I wish you could turn it off completely. But you want to go under the hood, there's a plug you can pull if you want to just completely disable it. I just wish you could disable it through here. The steering is tight, but it's not, it's not super communicative. That's never really been VW's thing. This is probably the least engaging, I'd say, of all of the competition, between the WRX Elantra N and the Civic SI. It's probably the least engaging in terms of like steering and ride and everything. It's still plenty capable. It's still fun to throw around. It's just not quite as engaging as those other ones, because you can't feel what the wheels are doing quite as well, and the ride is a lot softer, so it does sort of detract from the experience when you are really pushing it hard. Power in this one goes through the front wheels, of course, as has always been true with the GTI. If you want that all-wheel drive system, you gotta jump up into the Golf R, and you're paying significantly more. The manual transmission in this one is very similar to the Mk7. The clutch is on the light side. It's on par with the Mk7, and it's on par with the Elantra N. It's on the lighter side, but it's not super light like the Civic SI. It's fine. It's fairly forgiving. It's not like super springy or super connected or anything like that, but it's fine. It gets the job done. The gearbox here feels a little tighter than my Mark 7 does, but my Mark 7 also has 25,000 more miles on it. It's not super tight, it's not super mechanical feeling, it's a little bit rubbery, but it's not sloppy either. It's not like there's a whole bunch of slop. I do like how substantial the new shift knob is, but I do kind of miss my full golf ball shifter that I had in mine, and the plastic on top here feels a little bit just a little bit cheap, and the fact that you have to touch that every time you shift just feels a little bit cheap. Not my favorite, but overall, you know, the manual transmission in this is fine. I would still pick it over the auto just because I'm a manual guy, but the DSG is supposedly really good. I still haven't driven a GTI with the DSG. I've driven like 7 GTIs and they've all been manual. Now, one of the things that makes this the better daily driver than the competition is the driver's assist features, and this is where it really gets a bunch of points. But it has the lane keep assist, it has the adaptive cruise control that is across the board. Doesn't matter, you can be in the base trim and you still get that adaptive cruise control, and that's something you don't see very often in a manual transmission. So that is a great feature, and it works really well. And it's also got the lane keep, which you can turn off if you'd like. There's an assist button right here, which is nice. It's easy to access. If you're really riding the line, it'll also beep at you. It'll tell you to put your hands on the steering wheel. If you take your hands off, it's got a capacitive sensor in the steering wheel. It's got the blind spot monitoring. It's got the rear cross traffic alert. It's got this great suite of safety features. Really, it's the lane centering and the adaptive cruise control where this gets huge points over the competition and over that Mark 7. And there's a park assist feature where it'll actually guide you into a spot if you're in the Autobahn trim. That was the same with the Mark 7, and even if you have the manual, it will actually help steer you into the spot. If you use the park assist feature, you would still obviously have to work the clutch, leave it in first gear, deal with, you know, working the clutch and the gas and all of that, but it would handle the steering for you if you're in the manual. There is one driver's assist feature that I really do not like, and that is the hill hold. Sounds really great. It works great in the Mark 7. It works great in almost every other car I've been in. In this car, if you're not familiar with hill hold, it's like when you're sitting on a hill in a manual transmission, you take your foot off the brake, it will hold you in place, so that's to help so that you don't roll back when you're trying to engage first. But in this car, it sticks. Like, imagine if you were holding the brake down and also trying to engage first at the same time. It just like sticks for half a second. It's really frustrating. I have noticed that if you engage a little bit more slowly, then it doesn't stick quite as badly, and it feels a lot smoother. But if you try to get going quickly, which is like a natural thing if you're used to cars that do roll back, really kind of frustrating. But that's really my only problem with the driver's assist features. We've got a familiar powertrain under the hood here. This is still an E888 motor, same one as we had in the last generation, the Mark 7.5. We've got a 2-liter 4-cylinder, and it's got a turbo, and this one makes 241 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque. So it's tuned a little bit differently. They've updated some of the internals here as compared to that Mark 7.5. You get a little bit more power, a little bit more torque. Not a huge difference. Your peaks are also a little bit higher in your rev range. Not a huge difference, but it is a noticeable difference. From the side here, we've got this color, Pomelo Yellow. This was a special color they used last year that you could only get on the Autobahn trim, and it was only one per dealership. This year, you can only get it on the 40th anniversary edition. There are some other unique colors as well. You can get the black roof as well with this 40th anniversary. The other thing you'll notice that is different, of course, we do have the decal, the big 40 on there, and the dots across the side, this design over here. And we've got the black mirror caps, this wheel design here with the thin black spokes and the red circle. That comes from the Club Sport that you can only get overseas. But these are 19s instead of the standard 18s. So you get 18s in the S and the SE, but you get 19s if you're in the 40th anniversary or in the Autobahn. and we're sitting on summer tires instead of all seasons. So if you get the S or the SE, you're on all seasons. If you are in the Autobahn or in this trim level, then you'll get the summers, but you will get that on a different set of wheels. Something to note for next year, actually, they just announced this morning as of this recording that the 2024s, if you get the manual transmission, then you'll get the 19s with summers no matter what trim level you're in. But here for 2023, it's just the 40th anniversary and that Autobahn trim. You got the big brakes sticking through there. The brakes work great, no problems there, as they should from factory on a semi-performance car here. Looking at you, WRX, but 103.6 inch wheelbase here, same as the last generation, but slightly longer overall. Actually, all the body panels here are different from the Mark 7 generation. Love the little spoiler with the black trim out back here. Nice looking side profile, you know, it doesn't stand out too much from the crowd if you want to blend in a little bit, but still looks a little bit sporty. Of course, with this color, it does stand out quite a bit. No sunroof on this one. If you do want that sunroof, got to be in the SE or the Autobahn trim. You know, with the Mark 7s, they were having a lot of problems with the sunroof, so maybe you don't want to have one. My Mark 7 has not had any issues with the sunroof. Nice touch. If you want it, it's available, just not on this trim level. Integrated turn signals, blind spot monitoring, standard here in the side view mirror. And we will go ahead and take a look around front. Up in the front here, I love the contour that they put through the hood. We got the updated logo, of course, that came out last year. It's a little smoother than the previous generation. It looks a little bit cheap to me, but it's fine, it is what it is. We've got that red line through and the light bar going on only because we are not in the S trim. This is on everything but the S trim. New for this year though, we do have LEDs standard. So we've got LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, adaptive lights, so they will help with cornering as well. Like when you go to turn the wheel for a corner, the lights will actually turn with you. Huge upgrade. You can even get that on the S trim now. That's awesome. We got the fog lights as well, LED fog lights standard as well. Big update there. Lots of cooling. We got the honeycomb grill going on with the intercooler poking out there because we do have the turbo on this one. Really, you know, decent looking front end. Can't complain there. A lot of people didn't love it when it first came out, but it's grown on me quite a bit. Back end here, we do have the LED tails. Of course, for the Mark 8 here, they did move the logo to the center. It was off to the side in the Mark 7. It's not my favorite look, but it's fine. The letters are thinned out a little bit. The logo is a little bit more flat. It looks a little bit cheaper to me, but it is what it is. Got the big dual exhaust going on, those turbo pops and bangs. Got the rear wiper for you to delete. I don't understand why people delete those, but go for it if that's your thing. That's a great help here where it rains and snows all the time. And one of the coolest features here is your backup camera as well as your latch is the logo. Pull that up and it opens up into tons and tons of space. One of the best features of a hot hatch is all the space you get. It is deceptive how much space you get back here. We got a 60-40 split on the seats as well as a pass-through. And the floor here even drops down a little bit. So if you pull up the carpet and you pull up the actual floor here, you can drop it down a couple of inches. I always have mine drop down in my Mark 7 so I can get the dog back here. I got a big black lab and he fits perfectly fine back here. No problems at all. We got grab handles up here. No need to touch the paint. All right, we're gonna hop inside here. One thing to note, this one does have this new gloss black key going on. Well, not new for this year, but new for the Mark 8. I haven't been in a lot of cars recently where it didn't have a keyless entry actually, but this one does not have keyless entry unless you go into the SE or the SE Plus. You can't lock from the door handle. You gotta lock and unlock from here. You can also unlock the trunk from here, but right there on the key, if you do get locked out, push this right here and pull the key out, stick that in the driver's side door handle. And let's go ahead and hop inside. Okay, inside here, this is one of the biggest points of contention for last year when they released the Mark 8 was the updates to the interior here. I kind of like how minimalistic it feels. Some of the materials are a little bit cheaper than the Mk7. Yes, they did do some cost cutting, but overall I still like the feel. I still think it feels premium for this price point if you compare it to things like the Elantra N WRX and the Civic SI. I love the honeycomb across here. I love, you know, it's minimal, and I like that. The gloss black here is something that I don't like, this giant swath of gloss black. There are some hard plastics. We did lose that hand brake, unfortunately, so now we have an electronic parking brake. Not my favorite there. We don't have Android Auto, Apple CarPlay as wireless here, just wired in this one. That's why I've got the phone cord spaghetti. But if you do go up to the SE or the Autobahn, then you will get Android Auto, Apple CarPlay wireless. So that would be a nice touch for those. We do have the plaid seats here, obviously. You know, those classic GTI plaid seats. Those are SE and the 40th anniversary. The SE does also offer leather if you want to do the upgrade, but they come standard with the plaid seats. The seats are really comfortable. I know there are a lot of people out there that just like a nice, good, comfortable cloth seat. Maybe have a little heated action going on as well. This one has heated cloth seats that are very comfortable, so really well done seat here. Nice leather wrapped perforated steering wheel going on, but we do have the haptics. I went through this in detail last year with the haptic buttons. Not once during this whole week have I accidentally pressed something that I didn't mean to press. Not even this heated steering wheel button right over here on the side, which was, I guess, the one that a lot of people were accidentally pressing somehow. Have not had that issue. I don't love these though. You know, when I'm on the highway, I've been adjusting the adaptive cruise speed via the buttons over here, and it is a little bit annoying to use. The feedback isn't great, and the fact that it's like all one solid piece on each side, not ideal, but not really the end of the world that people are making it out to be. And we've got a nice gauge cluster here, all digital. I'm not the biggest fan of all these digital stuff everywhere if it's going to be like super cluttered. They did a good job making it not cluttered, making it simple. Big tack in the middle, and then just some smaller information off to the side. The really nice simple design behind it with the honeycomb, and you can change the lighting. You've got all kinds of ambient lighting, change the lighting all around here as well as in the gauge cluster. So they did a great job with it. Plus you can adjust the view if you want to adjust the view. Then you can do tack on the side, speed on the side with your information kind of interspersed throughout. I like the one with the big tack in the middle there. Everything that you need, really, your boost is all in there. Off to the side, we've got haptic buttons. Again, these like plastic with the gloss black all around here. Not my favorite, but again, not the end of the world either. We got more buttons down here in the middle. Your driver's assist features, your climate and your parking menu, and your driving modes are all easy access right here. Again, these weird like black haptic button things, not my favorite, but again, not the end of the world either. And it does make it easy access for those things. And everything is adjustable through the infotainment system. But I do have knobs on this one at least, so that's nice. The S and the 40th anniversary do get two knobs, and they don't have that haptic slider thing going across the bottom for your temperature and for your volume. But if you go up into the SE or the Autobahn, you will get those sliders and the bigger screen. You've got custom, sport, comfort, and eco to adjust your steering feel, to adjust your suspension, to adjust the engine sound. So the 40th anniversary and the Autobahn are the only ones where you can adjust the suspension and you can adjust the steering feel. You know, there's a tiny bit of lag, not really too much lag going on, but overall it's easy to use. It's just a small screen, and it's annoying that some of this other stuff is haptic, but not the end of the world. You do also have these quick select, your shortcut menu. You can have 4 shortcut icons, so if there are things that you use all the time, you want to have your traction control button in there, and you can turn that off immediately when you get in. You can put that in your shortcuts if you want. Oh, and I almost forgot about one of my favorite things about this car. I can fit a full-size Nalgene in the door pocket. Love that. I do that in my Mk7 every day on my way to work. Love that I don't have to have it rolling around every time I stop hard in traffic or something. It goes flying across. Don't have to deal with that because there's a spot right there. Underrated feature for the GTI. So last year I said the Mark 8 is the better overall car, but it wasn't necessarily worth upgrading, especially since my car is fairly low miles and it does a lot of the same things. Now that I've had more time with this one, and now that we have the 40th anniversary here, a little bit more of the Goldilocks version of the features, I'm a little bit more on the fence about things. I still definitely believe that this is the better overall car. The infotainment is an obvious point of contention. I think that is a step backwards on this one for the infotainment. But with this trim level, at least you do get the knobs, and it's not awful. Really, the only thing I don't like is like the steering wheel controls are frustrating when you do need to use them, but you don't need to use them all. Overall, the car, it rides better, it drives better, it handles better. It has the safety features and the driver's assist features, especially that adaptive cruise and the lane centering, are huge upgrades, and again, over the competition, those are also big upgrades over the competition. That's a big point for this car. Now, if I wanted to try to spec one out that was like the same as mine, where it's like leather seats, upgraded audio, all of that, then you start pushing in $36,000 to $40,000 range. It doesn't become quite as worth it. But this 40th anniversary at 33 grand is a pretty great deal. You still get the dynamic chassis control, which is huge. The audio system is actually pretty good, even as bass audio. And this thing is just easy to daily drive. Again, it's the best daily driver out of the competition, and it's still great when you want to push it. It's just not quite as engaging as the others. But it is a huge step up from the Mark 7 in terms of driving. Absolutely, 100% without a doubt. Thanks for watching. As always, if there's something more you want to know about the Mark 8 or something you want to know about my Mark 7, let me know down in the comments. If you have questions on this, something with this compared to the Elantra N or the WRX or the Civic SI, driven all of those, go check those videos out. Hopefully I will see you next time. Make sure to hit the like, hit the share, hit all the YouTube things. I hate saying it every time, but it really does actually help me get into more cars. So as always, thanks for watching, and hopefully I will see you next time.